to speak at this point? Yeah.
I don't know if this is the appropriate area, but Janelle requested if needed, I don't know, can you all serve as judges for travel grants, or is that not a thing?
Unless we're actually
In the
applying
round?
in the round.
Yeah. Okay.
We can.
Okay.
So we're in need of travel grant judges?
Potentially.
Okay.
Backup judges, really. Right?
Yeah. I think she has probably around 250 applications, somewhere around there, and it has like 99 judges. So, but
That's not
each,
quite enough.
well, each we will be fine if all judges grade all applications.
Right.
But if not,
Yeah.
she might be requesting. So, if you are willing to help her out, she'll send something
Yes.
when necessary. So,
Yes.
but I guess heads up then.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you, audience member. Hold the order, so that's that.
Joe, did you want to?
Yeah, sorry, I was waiting. So Jared Brock, College of Medicine rep. I'm here because I wanted to talk about some potential funding for a social between the College of Medicine and the College of Law that's coming up. I don't have an agenda of what's going on in this meeting in front of me. Would that be a better time to talk about that then, or would we like to talk about that now?
We really can't because it's not on the agenda right now. But what we can do is you can explain what you're actually asking us to do, and then we can find a way of doing it.
In the future, how would I be able to figure out what the agenda was if you're a guest?
I think Zach sends them out to GC meeting in the GC listserv, so
I don't know
you
this
should
one.
actually, I don't know. There's just
The invitations go out. Zach sends out the invitations, but we don't get the agendas and the things like that, and it's not like online anywhere that I'm aware of.
No. Alright, so
For open meeting laws and
make sure
things.
we'll keeping up to date on that. But so
Go ahead and explain your
I'll
request
explain
anyway,
it.
though.
Yeah, sure.
That's fine.
So, MedLaw used to have some socials and things because we're Northwest Speedway people and we are professional students, so we have like different things than PhD students, but we're not undergrads either, so we are not adults, but we still want to hang out with other people who aren't undergrads. So we put together a thing, and we're having a social at Hermanos, which is a gastropub, I guess you would call it, on 4th, this Friday afternoon, because that's when it worked out best for everyone's schedule. I've been talking to the SBA people, and they've been talking to our student government for it, so that'll be nice because the owners of Hermanos are actually a former law student, and his wife is a doctor. So here at U of A, so it's kind of cool actually, and they gave us pretty sweet discount and access to their things. So I was hoping to figure out a way we could get some funding from GPSC to sponsor the event, similar to how we did for the LGBTQ grad faculty mixer thing. Since it's multiple colleges, all grad students, we think it would be great. I'm not sure what budget we'd pull this out of. We were, I was talking with a few people and we were kind of brainstorming if we could do it through the social, we could do it through MAC or the advertising, because technically it's like sponsoring the event and trying to get more people north of Speedway, more professional students involved, GPSC. We could do it through our joint events fund. I'm not sure how much is left in that or what the status of that fund is, but there's a couple different pools of money we could pull it out of. So our ask right now would be $500 for that, which does not cover the whole event, but I think would be enough for me to basically convince my fellow med students and the law students that we should have GPSC be a quote-unquote title sponsor for all our materials. I think we have a banner that we've used before in the office somewhere. We can pull the banner out and hang it up down there, and of course you would be all invited. And then we already have like advertisement things pulled up, so we made flyers and stuff. So it's gonna be straight. It's pretty official. So yeah, I want to have a conversation of how we can make that happen.
Well, we can direct staff to
we
look
can
into
direct
it.
staff to look into it.
Could you direct staff to look into it for me, please? That'd be great.
Yes. Awesome.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool.
My people talk to you. Thanks.
Okay, anything to add to the agenda? I did add the college med stuff after new business, because I got your
Okay.
email.
What?
You emailed about, I think, Jared's thing about an hour ago. or
Jasmine.
something.
Jasmine.
So it's on,
Jasmine,
it's
sorry.
always on our agenda, so then we can talk about it when we get to that.
Well, I've laid the groundwork. You can all digest that and gestate it a little bit, and thank you for listening, and I'll be able to answer any questions when we get to it.
Awesome.
Approval of the minutes. Maria sent out ahead of time a couple of the minutes, last minutes, right, Maria?
Well, I sent out the the
25th?
May 25th, so they can get approved, and then the 9/19 is today's, so they can't be approved today.
Okay.
'cause they're-
So we can vote on the 25th minutes?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, you meant to write 9/12, and those aren't due yet.
Right. Then not due yet.
So, move to approve 8:25 minutes.
Second.
Okay.
Any objections? Cool. So those minutes are approved, and we're still working on the other ones. Okay. That's all right. I mean, it's not all right, but it's progress. I'll take it at this point. Old business, Jim, budget updates, any updates?
Nope, no updates.
Okay. I guess we'll talk next
Would be
week.
the agenda.
It's on the agenda for next week, Daniel? The
Yeah.
budget part of it?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. We're just gonna do it, finish up what we can next week.
Hey, Danny, could you email me the documents you had up on the?
I think I did, but I will do it again to make sure. I may have sent it to Kevin. I don't remember. Cool.
Cool. Jim, so Waybrand's not here. Repository, do we have anything?
Well, I'll just reiterate Dr. Bauer, since it's been on the agenda for a while. Basically, we've got all of our important documents, everything from minutes to memorandum of understanding to photographs, digital photographs, spread all over the place in unknown locations.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal here is just to find everything, centralize it, and develop some sort of archive for it. So hopefully we can, Wayland was talking to the folks at SASG to, get network storage space. Apparently we made some progress there. Hopefully we'll get together on soon, just waiting for them to give me some time to meet. They just want to reiterate things so that it doesn't, get lost in the shuffle. We should make the point of maintaining this type of thing in the future for a foreseeable time, so that, the organization has some continuity. It would just be really cool to be able to, we just had, 25 years now?
It's yours, 25 years.
Yeah, well, 25 years from now, people can look back and look at our meeting agenda from today, and, other cool stuff that we do. So,
Yeah.
I'm gathering that this has something to do with it, but the GPSC has a box now.
Oh, excellent.
So that just got established, I think
We're going to
today.
talk about box or box service?
That's where he wants to store everything.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is relevant.
so, yeah,
Thank you.
yep. So hopefully, I'm sure there will be progress made on all of transferring all those things out of Dropbox out into UAX.
Yeah, because U of A has a contract with box.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other things, Jim, about repository?
nope.
Okay. Cool. Daniel, I left it on here. Supreme Court, anything?
Haven't got any further updates. I
Okay.
have asked about the pool of student lawyers who wanted to help us. They are in process, and I will let you know when we get to that point. All right?
Cool. Thanks, Daniel. I'll leave those on here. 300, this is from Chris, and he's not, I guess he's out of town, right? So I have to leave it out. 360 evaluations. Chris, also consent agenda. Did Daniel or Jim want to talk about this as well? Did you talk to Chris about this at all? Okay, so let's leave it on the agenda for next time. And then Marquez had moved the law day of last call from new business to old business this time.
Yeah.
Is there any updates you wanted to?
Nothing at the moment.
Do you want to keep on the agenda?
I can put it in my reports.
Okay, that's fine.
I am working on that statement we talked about,
Cool.
and I will have something pages around in the next couple of days.
Cool. Excellent.
So, Daniel,
Yes.
on the Supreme Court stuff, if we
Right.
run into any problems with the election, are we close enough that
We're,
they could handle it?
We're bound by the elections code until we actually integrate with them, and I told them that we weren't able to do that before that in the election. So if there are problems with the election, we're gonna grit our teeth and suffer through it, and then hopefully before the spring comes in, we'll be on with the Supreme Court. That's what everybody seemed to be most amenable to.
Cool. So the next items are the executive board reports and updates on your goals. So Marquez, you weren't here when Elaine put these together, so.
Right,
a
but
lot
I
of-
have
lot of
been
leeway to
looking
say
at
whatever.
that, and I do want to kind of, because those were hers.
Mhm.
So I will be looking into that a little bit more intimately for myself with it. Just at this moment, I'm just trying to uphold some of the events that she did have scheduled as best as I can, and try to add a few more things with it. I sent out an email to all of you. Thank you for those that have responded back for some of the dates I'll need some assistance on, which is the event itself is actually really simple. It's just going and making sure that people sign in and talking to them and having a good time. And that's practically it for that. But if I could ask a question on for the event that we had with the LGBT community center, it led a question if there were other organizations or other events that we sponsored that I could be able to know about. Because it seemed like that one was an annual event that we sponsored and social things and what have you.
It is.
But-
So we do that, and then unfortunately the graduate students of color also do one, but because it's, I think, tomorrow, we can't get it in front of the GC in order to approve the funding for it.
Okay.
So I don't know how we want to deal with that. I told them that we couldn't do it because we couldn't just do it for the next meeting. So that was where we ended up with that one.
Gotcha.
I don't know if there are other annual stuff like that.
Where or who could I get that information from by chance? If there's other annual things that we've
Is
kind of
there?
helped sponsor.
I don't think there are.
Is there?
I think every year people have, College of Medicine Halloween party
Mm-hmm.
is, I think we've given them money a few years in a row.
Yeah.
I think that's actually it though.
Hmm.
It's not a thing we do
Megan, do
very
you know
much.
any cultural centers, if they have anything regular, or do you know, Claudia, any regular events that we, it's like LGBTQ, we've done it for 7
Yeah,
years or
yeah.
something, but.
Yeah, you all probably have
Okay.
records on it. Yeah.
I think we just gotta go back to the old calendars and see if they're still around, which I don't even know if they are, but,
Okay.
so, I guess talk to Ray and see if old calendars are still hanging around.
Sounds good. That's all for me. Unless you guys have any questions for me.
Have the College of Mass people reached out to you about the Halloween party this year?
No.
Okay.
And I think they didn't last year either, actually.
Whatever.
But every year before that,
Listen, my year we did. We had a huge banner. It was fun. Zach was there. And some other people. It was all fun.
The Friday event was fun. Okay, next person, secretary's report, so Maria, any thing to report or?
Sorry, I'm typing it.
That's right. Take your time.
So, can someone go first? I need to finish typing this.
Well, it's okay, Maria, we can,
Yeah.
we'll just wait until you're done.
We're good.
I can go because I'm just gonna say no report.
have you taken steps towards creating the appropriations committee?
I'm sorry, Jasmine, I have no authority to create the appropriations.
I don't know what you're talking about. Did you notice that Marquez sent out an email asking if anyone wanted to be on the social committee? Or did Marquez not have the authority to do that?
So I sent an email about the appropriations committee, one person responded so far, that's it.
That's the sort of update I was looking for. Thanks, Zach.
No, but I sent it out, so. Okay, go ahead, Maria.
So basically, so I've been doing the minutes as usual and incorporating the changes. Yeah, that's all. Sorry.
Okay. Any questions for Maria? Okay. Treasurer's report, we have that. Thanks, Jim. Assembly chair report. Daniel,
Nothing new from last week.
anything about your goals?
I guess putting the food insecurity on those goals would be a good idea.
Oh, sorry.
What did you, what?
Oh, no, when you're done, I just
Okay.
remembered something I could say.
Just adding, I guess, yeah, just adding food security on there as an issue, but I'm now going to be putting some time towards that yet.
Okay. Any questions for Daniel?
Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna add, so speaking of my goals, I remember Jude, you were working with ISS on some international student support and advocacy. And we were talking about some things that, you know, that I was interested in and I thought international students had, you know, issues with. You know, is there anything I could help you with at this point with that?
I don't know, is there something in particular you want to, I know we discussed a couple of issues, but then I don't know, is there
Yeah.
something in particular we're trying to work towards?
Well, I think the issues were
Etc.
I think there were some work issues for like jobs for international students, like access and them knowing what you know what jobs, where to find them, what information to get. You know, I think that's a lot of it, especially since international students can't work outside campus, so working on campus is essential. And if they don't know where to find those resources, that's a problem. So, and another thing I think was something that Elaine was interested in. She was here, and I think Jim was interested, and I was interested last year with the sexual assault stuff. So I don't know where we were with that. And then also the third issue I was interested in was kind of having students be able to kind of share their experiences. Like the one of the NAGPS presentations last year was about international tea time, like where students were able to come together and kind of talk about what they were facing, because there were several emerging issues that they had, like connections with family and other things, like just to be able to express themselves together in like a group, because a lot of times it's people like either stay within their social groups, like they're not like cultural groups like Chinese, or they just stick with their friends, so they really don't know that other people are facing the same issues and not knowing how they're coping with them. Or even there was some, like at some point, like some other university were doing even plays, like showing non-international students what kind of like little, like scripts, little plays that they did on like what sort of issues they faced in their lives, as sort of self-expression and showing non-international people what it feels like. Sort of also expressing themselves, because a lot of times, like the ISS, the stuff that they do is like, sort of paperwork related, just like stuff like, make sure you get your signature before you leave, and leave abroad and all this other stuff, but they don't do all those things besides that. Like they host some events, but most of the events are paid, like you have to pay for. Like some of the hikes and other things you actually have to pay. Like I never go to their events because I don't have that money to spend. So I don't know if other international students also like feel a lack of maybe kind of communication and expressing themselves and those other issues that I mentioned with work and sexual assault. But if there's, if you were meeting with ISS back then, if there's anything that, I could meet with them too, or I could follow up in whatever work you're doing with them if they've decided on any agenda in any direction.
We can, if there are certain things you're interested in us addressing through ISS, we can definitely work together on that. I haven't personally worked with them on issues relating to sexual assault and other things. The only thing we've done so far, which is something that I'd actually been there, but we just kind of tried to find a way to improve on it this year, was to create some sort of interactions among students, grad students, and also undergrad students, especially for the new ones who are coming to campus, just to help them get used to the university environment on time through what they call the body program. That's just about what I've done with them. it's an ISS initiative. I only got to work with them on that
Yeah.
this year, but the other things you want to do with them.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I mean, I was part of that. They didn't call it the buddy program. They call it the peer integrator program. I was
And
part.
it's a lot different. this
Oh, it
year.
is? Okay.
We did a significant kind of improvement to it, I would say. It's a lot different from what you know it to be.
Yeah. So is it more interactive, or what do you know what changes specifically they made? I mean, I could talk to them on my own, of course. Like what? Because back then when I did the peer integrated program, they used to do when students come to campus, they used to have like a specific orientation for international students. What they also did was they did some. They showed them around campus, like they had peer integrators, they have like international games night. They still have the International Students Got Talent show.
Okay.
So is there any like anything else besides
Yes,
that?
it
that
is
they do?
totally different. Right now they have what they call the body program, and I can explain this to you in details if you wanted to. It kind of matches students who have similar interests in groups of 5. So I have a group with undergrad students, and the goal is to get them to actually have interactions outside of the academics, do things together, go to places together, go around Tucson or visit other places in Arizona, just to kind of get them used to the culture here in the US and get used to the environment. It's different from just the normal events you guys had when you were part of that. We still do those events like the cultural day and all of that, but this is something pretty different. Last year they had something similar, it was just between 2 people, but this year it's more like a group thing with people who have similar interests. Like my group members are grad students in civil engineering and some other programs. But I can share more with you on that if you want.
Yeah, I would be glad to do anything.
And I think GPSC actually have publicized that program at some point. I think we had it on our newsletter, I don't recall.
I mean, I do remember even when they had the peer integrated program, that there was a parallel program, I think, that sounds, I don't know the details, but it sounds similar kind of to Buddy program, but it wasn't for international students. I think it was just for general undergrads, so maybe they adopted it. They also had groups and stuff, so maybe they adopted it for international students, which is a good idea. But I really, like, maybe there's some, like, I really like that idea that they had in NAGPS last year, like the tea time. That was really good because they had like they had some volunteers, or we probably can't hire someone. We don't have that in the budget right now, but they had some volunteers like organize and just have tea, and then the students would talk about their issues, and then they would actually almost like came up with kind of workshops, but not quite, just like slides or something explaining what issues and how to cope with them. It's really like, it was really helpful. Apparently for that university that did it, I need to go back and see. But I don't know, like we could do it, like if it wasn't expensive, it was a volunteering thing, or collaborate with ISS. And then the other thing I wanted to, like one of my other goals was related to the NAGPS collaboration. So I don't know where are we, like who are we sending to? You're going to the NAGPS, or who's going, or who's going to the regional conferences, or are we going to discuss that?
The regional conference is next year, not this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the next conference is the national conference in November. I haven't discussed that with anybody yet. I haven't decided if I haven't sent out a message regarding who is going to go, who's not going to go. I haven't asked yet. And the reason is, I know last time some of you still have disagreements regarding partnership with NAGPS, and I was hoping to see what the discussion will be regarding our budget, and that's going to decide what we do from there. If there's no budget for it, there's no need asking people to go.
I know that at least one rep is interested in going though.
That would be good actually, because the national conference is it's a time when we get the opportunity to put people on the leadership board at the national level. So I would really advocate that we go for that. And I'm going to give, when it gets to my turn, to give my report to just a brief summary of the last one I attended in September last week. That's last week.
Yeah, the NAGPS National Conference is a good opportunity to put people at a national level. That's absolutely correct. So anything else, Maria?
That was all.
Okay, so Jasmine, you're up.
We have people running for a lot of the spots that were vacant, which is great. A lot of them running unopposed. On the one hand, that kind of sucks because it means that there wasn't that much interest. On the other hand, it means that I've already started contacting them saying, you've probably won, what committees do you want to be on? So I've already started placing people, which is great. It means that some of the committees that are meeting very, very soon can have people on them immediately instead of waiting an extra week or two. I've gotten a lot of very excited responses saying, wow, I'm so happy I'm going to be part of GPSC. This is going to help me fulfill my dream. I actually got that verbatim. So, yeah.
Oh, sweet summer children. Sweet summer childs.
So, definitely looking forward to the conclusion of our special elections. Also, committee stuff. We had a faculty senate committee meeting, I think.
Last Monday.
Yeah. So I don't think I really said anything about it last meeting. If I did, go ahead and stop me. But the reason I'm bringing it up now is because since that meeting, so during that meeting, a question that was supposed to be addressed, that we were actually encouraged to get into small groups and talk about, was what would the University of Arizona look like if it had a reputation for being the most inclusive university in the United States. I was like, okay, open-ended question, big question. So I wound up getting like elected spokesperson for my table that we were discussing at. Every table was supposed to have one spokesperson basically relay the conversation to the room. And so I relayed my table's conversation to the room, and apparently the way I said it was so impressive. President Hart was nodding vigorously from across the room. People came up to me afterwards and said that was an amazing like speech, basically. Today, this morning, someone from the library said, like, you said something amazing at a faculty senate. At graduate council, it got brought up as, oh, you know, Jasmine, who's here right now, said something great on behalf of graduate students at faculty senate. So apparently something I did was good, and I hope I can keep showing up to faculty senate and doing a good job. Other great things about committees, graduate council happened. And I'm not going to be a regular fixture on that committee. Me and Jude, I think, are going to trade off showing up as our schedules allow. But we do have 2 reps on graduate council permanently, and they were actually already contributing this first meeting, so I'm really proud of them. Important things, apparently enrollment is up in several of our programs, so we actually have passed 9,500 graduate students now. I think before we were hovering right below it, but we've broken that now. Also, apparently, graduate student applications are down across the United States, but not here. Our graduate application numbers have actually still risen. So I guess that speaks to good recruiting and being a desirable institution. Also, there's a new GIDP being created. Graduate Council gave their blessing, essentially. The topic is Iranian and Persian studies. And there's even an optics professor who's contributing to it, which is kind of funny. So that's exciting. Slightly less positive committee things. The CIO search is currently on a bit of a hiatus, unfortunately. I don't know how many of you guys saw the email that went out, I think, this morning. But basically, 2 of our top 3 candidates withdrew from the search for personal reasons unrelated to the search itself. We did not do anything bad. We did not insult our mothers. But they withdrew from the search. And so since we were left with 1 good candidate, we decided probably not a good idea to go forward with interviewing just 1 person, because that's a bit lame of an interview process. So we're regrouping, gonna look for even better people to hopefully interview and choose an awesome CIO. So I think that's pretty much it.
What's the timeline for that?
Well, we wanted to have someone a lot sooner. I think the timeline's going to be probably another month of grabbing applications, but that's really just me guessing.
So another month just getting a new one.
And then the actual on-campus interview process takes another month on its own. So at best, probably 2 months from now, I'm guessing not before December.
Optimistically,
So,
2 months
yeah.
from now. Oh, geez.
So unfortunately, fortunately, The interim CIO, who's also in charge of the libraries, is great, so at least we're in good hands in the meantime. I gotta say, I think that grad students can do a lot better than Michelle Noren, so I'm not that upset right now.
Cool. So any questions for Jasmine? So I just have one question. Are you going to consider dropping your other goal that you haven't mentioned today?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. Can you tell us why?
This is actually not part of my report, and actually we're not
It's
supposed to have
something you've
discussion during
stated
this report.
publicly twice that you want to impeach another executive board member.
Oh, I
so
didn't say
think it
it
would be
publicly at
worthwhile
all.
to share.
Zach, if you
Share
want to
this.
interrogate me and badmouth me and slander me, why don't you do it in writing?
I
So that it's a lot easier to
asked
spread
for the
around.
general counsel, and I'm asking now.
Zach, do it in writing. I want to make sure I can send it to the Daily Wildcat.
You said it twice in front of me, Jasmine, so I think
That's
it's
perfectly
worthwhile with
fine.
the other
Zach, do
executive
you
board
really want to
members.
waste everyone's time with this? This is irrelevant to anything
I
going
don't
on
think
right
it is
now.
irrelevant because it makes it harder for your job. If
It
one
really
person,
doesn't.
if one person's entire existence
Zach, this is completely
is about
irrelevant. You're
impeaching
wasting
someone
everyone's
else.
time around this table. This is
Jasmine.
my report, and my report is finished. We are moving on now.
You are a bully.
Jude, it's your turn.
Jasmine, you're a bully. And I think it would be good if you dropped
Oh,
that
Zach,
goal.
I'm a bully.
Yes, you
Do you
are.
want to go over who's actually a bully here?
This is not part of our agenda.
Go ahead, Jude.
I wanted to talk
Thank you,
about this
Jasmine.
meeting. Jasmine, great work with faculty senate. I actually heard from Dean Janet that you, I don't know, she kept on saying you did this amazing thing. And I had to ask her, what did Jasmine do? Yeah, but that being said, my report, just a quick overview of some things I've not had time to talk about in the last 2 or 3 meetings we've had. Over the summer, I actually decided I wanted to conduct some sort of outreaches to colleges and programs on campus, and I got to meet with 12 colleges in all, I think, out of the 16 colleges, excluding College of Fine Arts, College of Agriculture, and College of Medicine. Actually, College of Medicine, Phoenix asked that he was going to meet me, but he said he wanted to meet me in Tucson, but he was going to let me know when he comes down to Tucson. He didn't want me to drive down to Phoenix, which was fine. It's,
So it's the College of Medicine Phoenix people actually want to be involved with things? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, they
Oh,
actually they were willing
okay,
to meet
wow.
me, but College of Medicine Tucson, surprisingly, were the ones who really never responded.
They probably thought I was on it, or Jennifer was on it, or Austin was on it, or Carolyn was on it, so they're probably like, oh, they're dealing with it. Who'd you reach out to specifically?
I've forgotten his name. I can look through my email and send
Was that
you the
Odie?
conversation. Honestly, I never actually contacted
Odioka
the
something or
person.
other. It's a really hard
I
last
can
name.
get you the email and forward it to
Yeah,
you.
just in future, see me on that if you want to, and I can
Okay.
walk down
great.
the hall and knock on some doors if I need to,
Okay.
to make sure they respond.
That's great. Thanks. So aside from those 4 colleges, I did reach out to those other 12 colleges. Most of them I had conversations with the dean, some were with the associate dean, and those meetings were, in my opinion, very effective. I also did reach out to 26 programs or departments on campus over the summer. Aside from, I can't list all of them right now, but I have a list of those 26 programs. I also did talk with a couple of administrative people, or people in administration, and yes, and then we, as a result of those outreaches to colleges and programs, we attended 26 orientations. Sorry, 23 orientation. This excludes 3 others that I've not added to this report. Of that 26, we spoke to over 1,200 new graduate students. Thanks to every one of you who actually attended 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, like Daniel, Jasmine. You guys did a great job. Also, Maria, thanks. I know you attended 1. Thanks for doing that. And yeah, so also as a result of those meetings, if you take note on several colleges or programs websites, you notice that there's a link to GPS's website. That's a direct result of some of those meetings I had with the deans. And a few of them actually did send out information regarding GPS on their listserv and did add us to some of their newsletters. I know College of Engineering sent us something about us over then. Yeah, moving on to, I'm not going to talk much about the advocacy, but I've been in communication with NAU and ASU presidents, and that's Anthony and Andy, just to see what we can do together as a state and how we can actually make our voices stronger working together as a team. And lastly, okay, ABO meeting, I will not be attending ABO meeting this week. I did attend the one last time in June, but I will not be attending the one for this week because I do have conflicting schedules. If there's someone who is willing to go from the EV member, that would be fantastic.
What time is it?
It's gonna be at NAU from Wednesday through to Friday. You can, but if you want to, we could rent the car for you if you're willing to.
Is
go.
it the Avon?
So,
Wait, it's, he said Avon?
Able. And yep, I think Zach said he's willing to go for that.
Yeah, I'm looking into it. Yeah.
And yeah, so lastly, okay, at the national level, I have kind of tried to say, I haven't been very committed with the group Sage, but I had a conversation with one of them during the NEGPS meeting I attended, and I've been on the communication, and at least I'm trying to see how we can, continue to build our relationship on that platform. And then lastly, with NEGPS, I did attend the last LED program. Unfortunately, I attended alone, as opposed to the initial plan to go with Jacob Wilson, who unfortunately could not go any longer. I attended this however with 5 members from ASU GPSA team, which were the president, the vice president, the assembly chair president, or the call assembly president, and 2 of their legislative directors. And together, the 6 of us met with 11 congressional member offices. We did split it amongst ourselves just to be efficient to avoid everybody going to those 11 meetings. I attended 3 of those meetings. McCain's office, Anna Kirkpatrick, I don't know if that's how you say her last name, and David, I don't know his last name. Schwacker, so I don't know what to say. Yeah, I attended those 3 meetings, and then we also had some very important discussions. One of which is something that I think is going to be affecting graduate students this year, and it's something that we really need to start looking into. It's the recent IRS and ACA ruling that is going to significantly affect our health insurances going from next year forward. I've had a conversation with Dean Kani, and I do know that the university is considering a couple of options right now. The unfortunate thing is all the options they have on the table, none of them is good. They are just looking at lesser evil, basically. Like they're trying to decide between options that could have lesser consequences on grad students. What NEGPS is trying to do, NEGPS, not NEGPS, what NEGPS is trying to do with this is to see how they can actually block this off from the national level to avoid, just to see if they can actually have an input at the national level and avoid that decision from actually coming down to the universities, because either way you look at it, it's going to affect grad students one way or another. Yeah, and then we also met with SBA, which is Small Business, forgotten the last name.
Administration.
Yes, and we met with them to discuss the recent proposal from USCIS, which was going to allow international students to actually start up a business in the US. However, the proposal had some unrealizable standards, like you needed to have, I think, up to 300,000 or 500,000 to do that. But basically, we met with them to discuss those and to see how they can kind of tone it down to accommodate international students who find it difficult to achieve those proposals. Yeah, so that's about my summary. And then lastly, with the next NEGPS event, I haven't sent out information yet requesting for who would like to attend. I've not done anything about it, but I would really like us to send people to that, because it's going to be an opportunity for us to elect, for them to elect new board members. I think they have about 17 positions. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach. Those positions are open to people from all universities. Last year, NEU had someone in the board. It would be great for us to also have somebody in the board, especially somebody who's going to be here for another 1 year or so. So I would really appreciate if we do send people to that in November. That's it.
Yeah, I ran for a position last year in HPS. Okay, so next person is me. Honestly, I'm looking through these goals I put together in May, and I think that if I had to give myself a grade, it would be like a C-. I certainly tried, but I didn't get too far. I mean, I don't know if we were actually more focused on the things we're supposed to do. I don't hear us talking about fees, tuition, childcare, healthcare. so much. I think Daniel's taken really good leadership on the marginalized students, now the food stuff, which is good. So it's not like it's all, for me, bad, but I just don't think we've done great. Jude brought up what the dean has brought up about the healthcare thing, so that's an interesting conversation to track. So I don't think we've actually done great at refocusing ourselves on, I think, what our mission is. As far as communication, I think Jude's done pretty good with reaching out to colleges. You know, if we get some new people, hopefully we'll have some new people, and those new people we bring in, they're just going to be next year's and the following year's president and vice president, the rest of it. So hopefully they're good people, and hopefully they want to stay around, because we've had 6 people resign this year so far, which is not a good sign for our organization. So Summer of Sunlight, number 2, budget transparency. I think we've gotten better at this, and this is part of Jim's leadership on the budget. It's really hard to do the budget, and it's Jim's probably done it the way that we should have done it all along. And we'll finally get around to it after 25 years, which is on one side listing what the people upstairs have versus what we have, and now it's more synced. So that's better. So that's maybe a good thing. Not great, but good. I think everyone, so now look at 3A3. I think everyone has been speaking in the meetings. What I observed in the spring when I came to GPSC meetings is that only 3 or 4 people spoke. Now I think a lot more people speak, which is good. That's a credit to Daniel and I think our culture generally. So that's a decent thing we've done. This is something that came up. Number 4, a couple of reps brought up in April that they were really against the athletics fee when they thought that was going to be really hitting. So it hasn't really gone that way so far. The number 5 is suspend the GPSC travel. It was kind of heavy-handed at the time. On the other hand, you know, we do have some budget problems. So, and at the time I wrote $150,000 loss, and that's kind of where we're ending up. So my guess was on target. And then the final 2 things, I mean, a couple years ago when I started my first year, we had this sort of philosophy is inside out. So if we like each other on the inside, we'll do better on the outside. You know, it's pretty basic. You know, I like Marquez, he likes me. We both more or less trust each other. He goes to a meeting on behalf of GPSC. He'll reflect GPSC better. But right now, we don't like each other all the time, and that's not a good thing. And then outside in, we have to remember who we're representing. I mean, I go to our meetings and I think of us as an individual person. I think we're completely self-absorbed about ourselves, which is GPSC. We're not really absorbed in the people we represent. Maybe other things will change in the next couple months, but anyway, that's an overview of my goals. Like I said, if I had to give myself a score, it'd be a C-. On the other hand, I was able to raise $17,000, backfill some money. I was able to get a few people on an advisory board, and I'm going to invest $180 to get our endowment launched. And we have some money in there already, but I sent an email out to all of our past alumni, and I'll continue to work until probably an hour before next Monday, because that's how I did it before. I just will work until the end. So anyway, that's my report, and I'll stop.
I wanted to comment. Thank you, Zach, for your report. I think, and to everyone for doing what they've done. And Zach commented about Jude and Daniel and Jim. I think here in my notes. I think I would actually probably. Of course, it's not my role to grade someone or give them grades, but I'd probably give you an A-. Honestly, I don't. I mean, it's fine, but I think you've been really trying to do your best, and during the summer and this year and May and before, and for all these years in the organization. I think as a lot of the accomplishments that you mentioned, Jude and Daniel and Jim, a lot of them would have been possible without you working with them, I think, and you taking the time to make sure the organization is running as smoothly as possible in the circumstances that we're in. I think you're pretty accurate, unfortunately, on some people not liking each other on the inside, that being a problem. I won't go in depth into reasons, but I think just my personal feeling right now is I'm honestly, and I'm not saying this for anyone to feel bad or anything. I'm just wanting to express my feelings. I think I'm feeling pretty depressed. And I honestly don't know how to function in an organization where I always feel like there might be an opportunity for a backstab or for someone to hurt someone else, and I don't know who's next on the line. Once someone is gotten rid of, or someone leaves, another person leaves, people leave on their own, people are asked to leave, people are just don't have any choice but to leave, and I don't know, it's almost like it's best to leave than to be impeached or anything else that anyone wants to do to someone. And I'm not saying it's anyone's fault, but it would be really nice if we would have a more calm atmosphere in the organization and be focus on what we do. And we're as Zach mentioned, we do a lot of good, and a lot of us have done really great stuff. And I think if we only would devote time to that instead of other things, we'd be much better off in his organization. People would, not just new reps would be excited about the organization, but people who have been in the organization for a while. And so I know it sounds like some hippie thing to say, let's be friends, and I know it sounds like something very impossible with everyone perhaps people having grudges against each other, and maybe some people think it's actually too late, but I would really urge us, for the health of the organization, for our own health, our own wellness, to really try to do our best to work with each other. I mean, we were elected, maybe someone would argue we're elected unopposed, but I think if we are elected unopposed, there's even more reason to focus on the organization. If it's not us, then who else will do this work, will do the best for the organization. And honestly, I just don't want to have to go counseling. Like, my personal reason, I don't want to have to go to counseling to deal with this, and I don't want to leave the organization just because I feel threatened, or I feel like I'm next on the line. It's just not something I want to do. So I'm really like to be happy in the organization. I think a lot of people can be really happy. Like in years past, a lot of people have been really excited. New reps are excited. And let's just for this, if not for the sake of us or for the organization, for their sake, at least try to do our best to work together. And if we have differences, let's try to work through them. Let's talk about it. Do whatever we need to do. Let's just be friends. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I think a good place to start would be if you didn't go to the Daily Wildcat with another fabricated story, but that's just me.
Okay.
So
Now
that's
we're-
really
now we're
unhelpful,
moving on.
Jasmine.
Oh, really?
Let's
No, it's not.
grade each other on their helpfulness, because I would downgrade all of you for it so far. So let's move on, please. Thank you, Maria.
So,
Thank you, Daniel.
the first thing on the new business, Jude, presidency succession.
Actually, I was hoping if we could move this discussion down to allow Jess, I don't know if you need to leave you on time. Do you want to give your report first before we have this discussion?
I didn't really expect to give a report, but
You can go ahead. You can go ahead, Jude. It's fine.
Okay, so yes, everyone in this room, I think it's where we stand right now as an organization. While I wasn't present in the last two meetings we had, I did my best to listen to the live stream and I had the arguments. And I've heard from a few persons who were in the room. Apparently, as an organization, we continue to have this back and forth arguments during our meetings that really don't look good on us as an organization. That come up as a group of students who just come to meetings to fight and end up wasting the time. But that's not the case. The case right now, we have an issue on ground. I'm glad that Maria talked about some things she talked about. I wanted to have an open discussion with everyone in this room, and the reason I'm going to be very open, from what I have gathered, it appears that at least 3 of us in this room seems that there is a need for us to actually go against what our constitution says, or we feel there is a need to amend our constitution at this time. And if we're talking about, trying to be better, be friends, move on, not tackle or attack each other. We're talking about, doing things, but I think we have to be honest to ourselves. So I wanted us to have that open conversation. I wanted us to bring up our reasons why we honestly feel there is a need to change what is written on our constitutions, what we have followed for so long. Because I don't think it's relevant or necessary for us to go to GC meeting and have these arguments back and forth, which is really mostly sponsored by the people in this room. So I think it's necessary we have those discussions among ourselves and we go to GC meeting with a conclusion. The last thing I want to do on Monday is to come to the meeting and have another argument talking about things that we could trash out right here, right now in this room, and go to GC meeting with a conclusion and tell them this is what we decided, this is what we're going forward with. I think that's how an executive board members, or that's how executive board members should act. I think that's how we should act as a team. Come up with a decision and go have one voice and not have a divided voice where team A is saying this and team B is saying that. So that's the discussion I wanted to have around this. I, at this point, want to welcome those who honestly think GPSA needs to go a different route to say their point and say it to my face, tell me the reasons why you think we need to do something different from what our constitution says.
So any comments for Jude?
Well, I'll start you, since it's my motion to amend. I moved to amend the Constitution back in April because I thought we should have an election for president rather than have a succession. And nothing to do with you or anybody else. It was, I just thought that's the way it should be, and that's why I proposed the amendment.
So Jim, can I ask you a few questions? Sure. You've been in this organization for 17 years, right?
I have to count.
Or more than that, I guess. And for that long, for that duration, you have been very familiar with our constitution, which, to the best of my knowledge, at least as far back as 2010, when I still have the records, this constitution have been pretty clear as to what the succession of the president should be. And also, you were part of this organization last year when amendments were made to our constitution regarding the succession of the president. You and Maria, to the best of my knowledge, are actually members of, can you adjust? I want to see.
Sorry.
You and Maria, to the best of my knowledge, are actually members of the government committee, and at least you had an idea the discussions that were on the table up until the election. And I also recall that Maria ran for that election for my position, and you, Jim, you're going to run for the AVP position. And at the time the both of you applied to run for these positions, you knew clearly what the Constitution says in terms of succession for the presidency. And you never had a problem with that until after the results of the election were announced. And on April 19th, you decided to propose a change to the Constitution. And not before the elections, but after the election results have been announced. Now, is there a reason why you suddenly felt the need to do so?
I made the amendment. The reason I made the amendment is exactly, the proposed amendment is exactly what I said. It has nothing to do with the fact that I wasn't elected or was elected or anything else. I just honestly do think that the president should be elected.
I wanted to comment on that. So I was part of the governing docs, well, I was chair of the governing docs last year. And basically this decision to split up, to have the president do a succession with the vice president, the two vice presidents, that was something that I think was mentioned as a decision by President Sarah last year. We didn't really, wasn't in the position, I was told I was in the position to discuss that or oppose that or anything. And when
Maria, I'll let you know. I'm just letting you know.
Just allow her to get to
Yes,
a point.
I just wanted her to know I'm going to close the minutes from that meeting after she's done talking.
Oh, please
Go
allow her to
ahead.
get to a point, please.
That's fine. But basically, so a lot of, and I'm not talking about this change, but many of the other changes in general, the way things were done was that it was we were told there was an election that was upcoming, and we needed to make a decision. We didn't have much time. We needed to vote right now, and so discussed this, not everything, but we discussed this, but we didn't spend a lot of time discussing positive, negative sides of this. And then there was the second point that came up with the website, when there was a discrepancy that we noticed in terms of what the position was in the governing docs, the two positions, in terms of, and what it said on our website. So there was that discrepancy as well. And I mean, when I saw the amount of people running, I wasn't sure that I'd win. I was thinking of, being a secretary as well. So I wasn't really upset, honestly, when I didn't win, to be quite honest with you, because I had my graduate assistantships, the other ones, and I was really excited about teaching, so that really has nothing to do with that, me winning or losing whatsoever. But it was, I think the thing that right now is, as back then, is it's better to have, I'm really happy if you become the president, that's fine. But, how would it look like to the outside and to us if we don't go through the process of an election? Is there no way, absolutely, that you could run for president? Because it doesn't say anywhere, I think, at all, that you can't run for a position while you're in office. And if you win the president position, then you're the president, and that way no one can question you and tell you, you're not the president, the elected president. There, no one have any questions. There's no debates, nothing whatsoever. And if people say that most likely no one will run, then that's even better, because then no one runs and you run and you're the president. That's it, and it takes care of all the issues and all the problems. And as Jim was mentioning, that the governing doc amendment had been hanging around for five months. There wasn't even a question back then whether Zach was going to resign or that we would even be in this situation. So this amendment has nothing to do with you personally at all, because this is something where we're going to change before this whole situation happened.
So,
Okay, can I-
Jasmine wanted to speak.
Jasmine, then I'll talk.
Jasmine, Jude, Jim.
So, first I want to read from the minutes from the meeting at which we changed our governing documents. Maria says, "This year I was the head of the governing docs committee. We made some changes in terms of where things belonged in our governing docs. We worked on them this semester. Our constitution was too long, and many of the things belonged in the bylaws and elections code instead. We made the necessary modifications." She later assures us, "Is everyone okay with moving EB and GC responsibility descriptions to the bylaws?" So she was aware of all that. I'm going to say probably none of the rest of this is relevant, but I just wanted to make it clear that Maria was fully aware of all of the decisions being made, as she said in the minutes. I don't know why she would have written that in if it weren't true.
So basically,
Maria, I'm
I'll
still
just
talking right now. Also, I want to quote from an email Maria wrote regarding, I guess it's sort of regarding succession of the presidency. She sent a screenshot of what the elections website said about the executive vice president role when people were voting. It says, "In the event the president is unable to fulfill the duties outlined in section 3A, the executive vice president shall fulfill those duties." So it's very clear that even when people were voting for Jude, they knew that if for some reason the president were to resign, Jude would be the one fulfilling that role. So to suddenly tell our constituents that the person they voted for to become president, if the original president resigned, is not going to be able to do that anymore, that would be a slap in the face to every single person who voted for Jude. I don't understand why we're even having this discussion. It would be offensive, quite frankly. And Maria even pointed it out herself, that's what everyone thought they were voting for. So I don't understand where this renewed discussion is coming from at all. I will also point out that I think certain people in this room did know, probably, that Zach was likely going to resign because he had already successfully defended when the elections were concluding. And so while I actually had no idea when Zach would finish his dissertation, I would be surprised if his friends in this room were not at all aware that Zach resigning due to graduating and getting a full-time job were not a very real possibility. So to say that you had no idea and that has nothing to do with you personally seems a bit disingenuous to me.
Okay, so
Oh,
Jude,
wait.
you're next.
What, I was gonna.
No, Jude, Jim,
I think
and Maria.
I
Zach
think
and Maria.
Jasmine has already made most of the point I was going to talk about. I think it's absolutely not honest if everyone in this room says they had no idea that there was a possibility that Zach would not stay in his office. I'm going to be very down to
That's
earth.
really,
I think that's
fair.
very false because I have actually heard from somebody in this room that they knew all too well that you, Zach, okay, not the person in this room, but somebody who was in our council knew all too well that you were going to resign, and that was the first time I heard it, and I was surprised that you were going to resign midway through your tenure, and that person turns out to be one of your friends. So I wouldn't be surprised, like she said, if some of your friends in this room knew all too well that you were going to resign midway, but that's irrelevant. The point now is, you, the both of, I wasn't in the council last year. The both of you were there when these decisions were made. Our constitution was decided upon that this is what they wanted to do this year. And you never opposed it. I think I just saw the vote right now, and I don't think I saw a no vote. You never opposed this thing. And then an election is conducted, a winner is declared, and all of a sudden, you think there is a need. Maria, you've been with GPSC for I think 4 or 5 years. And in that 4 or 5 years, it never occurred to you at one time that you think that if a president resigns, there is a need to have an election for the for the president. You never thought about it. And then all of a sudden, you just thought about it this year, and you, Jim, who've been here with us for 17 years, you just realized it's something very important. And then you made a point about, having somebody to run for it. I'd like to ask you, is there somebody you're planning to ask to run for this position? Or are you trying to run for this position yourself? Because quite frankly, I made the point very clear, even if we were to go down the route of an election, I will not run for it. So if there's somebody you guys are planning to have to run for it, please bring it up to the table. Maybe there's somebody, Zach, Jim, or Mike, maybe I should call it. Is there somebody you're trying to have
is it
to
possible
run for this position?
to stop throwing around a bunch of accusations and innuendo?
These are questions, not accusations.
No, there is no accusation at
Actually,
this point.
since I've been here for 6 months, no. I haven't yet to see a meeting where there wasn't innuendo or accusations.
But I haven't even accused
So I'd
any
like- yes,
accusations.
so I'd
just
like
yet.
that kind of
Okay,
conversation
continue,
to stop.
continue. Floor is yours, Jude. So Jim and then Zach and then Maria.
I'm done. So, you brought up a couple things. First, I'm not particularly good friends with Zach. Well, after he graduated as president, after he was president, I hadn't talked to him for a year until he showed up at, our meeting on, whenever that was, February or
January.
January. I think he's a nice guy, but I'm not his friend. Second, the reason that you were sort of implying that it was strange to bring up to look at the governing documents and bring up this proposed amendment in April. The simple fact is our governing documents were changed a lot by the last executive board, and Maria and I both went through it and looked at a lot of the changes and tried to make decisions on what should be changed back and what shouldn't be changed, what different things need to be done. If we ever get an opportunity to actually go through all the proposed amendments that have been made, there's a lot of other changes besides that one that have been proposed. The most pressing, which hasn't been proposed, is which Maria and I identified early on, was we no longer have the president and treasurer signing off on disbursements, and there is no oversight for disbursements. I'll also tell you, Jude, quite honestly, shortly after Zach announced his decision to resign. And I think you know this to be true. There was a lot of discussion about the succession. An administrator approached me and told me that I might be the one to be president.
Which administrator?
That's technically the way the Constitution is written. It goes
Yeah.
down the executive court, so
Yeah.
technically, yes.
And I was asked if I would. And at that point, I was still planning to have there be an election, even if they came to me, I was going to decline and let there be an election. That was a decision that I made at that time. So, and it's nothing to do with you.
Okay, so I'm next on this, and then Maria, after Jim, continue.
Well, I would ask you to, you know, Jasmine has stated her goal to impeach another executive board member. If you're president, you gonna do something about that? You gonna try to stop it? You gonna try to fix it?
That's first of all, it's not a discussion on the table to start with.
Yes or no?
No, that's
No? Okay.
that's absolutely not a discussion on the table. I don't know of Jasmine's goal. Jasmine, have you ever had a discussion of your goal to impeach anybody?
Not that I'm aware of.
She hasn't told me she had such goals.
It's not what you told me before, Jude.
I told you that?
Well, go ahead, continue. I just want to keep your story straight.
This is what I mean about accusations and innuendo.
Exactly.
Daniel's right. Go ahead, Jude.
Now, if an EB member, the discussion on the table right now, it's not what I want to do to what you or Jasmine or Maret's planning to do. Unfortunately, you guys have your agenda, every one of you, so let's not come to the table and say it's all Jasmine who has an agenda. You, Jim, have an agenda. Are you planning to drop all your agendas that are contrary to what we want to achieve as an organization? It's a question to you.
And I'll be glad to answer. My only agenda right now is survival. That's it. That's it.
Okay,
So what I hear you saying right now is you're trying to survive and you think that having a president other than myself is the best way for you to survive.
No.
That's what I hear you saying now.
No, what I'm saying now is I proposed an amendment back in April, along with a bunch of other amendments that I proposed to the Constitution, because I think those changes need to be made to the Constitution. Your president wasn't even on the table at the time. And it had nothing to do with, and the reason I asked you that question, dude, is I'd like to think when I first met you, I really thought you were a good leadership-oriented kind of guy. I'm worried what you're going to do as president, to me. Okay, and that's why I asked the question.
okay, so I think I'm up at some point,
Okay,
and then Marquez after
Can I
Maria.
respond to his accusation? Because right now you just attacked my character, and that's
So
another issue.
I
You
think
just
I'm up
spoke
at
against
this
my
point.
character, but I'm not going to address that just in a moment. But
I didn't
what
want
I'm
to
going to
attack
say,
the character.
no, that's what
I
you
wanted-
just
I wanted to
did.
answer-
You just told me you are doubting my character or my personality or my abilities to lead as the president of GPSC. That's
Fair.
what you just said in this room.
No, that's not what I, he took it
Maybe
that way,
you should
that's
pay
not
attention
what I
to
did.
your words clearly when you use them, and I think we have this in recording. But that being said, Jim, if you want to have an open conversation, I think there's no point trying to go from behind. If your fear is that Jasmine has an agenda, which you think that a president other than Jude would solve, state it clearly. Don't come to the council with this idea of philosophy that, oh, GPSC has a faulty constitution, there should be an election for a president because that's how the whole world does it. Not even the United States of America actually has an election for the president should the president resign. Not even the US does that, not even my country. So if there is something, if you have a problem with that, state your goals clearly. Don't come to GC meeting and waste 2 hours of people's time. That's my
Okay,
point
so
of this discussion.
I've been up for a while. So there's a lot of rumors the last 5 months, and I heard about them as like everyone else about me, and I always found them interesting because there was always plausibility in them, but none of them were ever accurate. But that's life, to Daniel's point. Two, will we have a special election next month to elect an executive vice president?
Yes.
Okay.
If G becomes president, we have to.
Okay, so as an outsider, it seems odd we would have a special election for the executive vice president and not the president. People from the outside would say that. Personally, I do have a bias for elected people. I've been elected 4 times. Maria, and then Marquez.
Yeah, so I would like to continue. I personally, like whoever thinks otherwise about friendship or not friendship, I personally just found out with everyone else that Zach was leaving. I did not know. You don't have to believe me. You can laugh at me. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. This is true. For those of you who know me, I don't lie, okay? This, sure, okay, that's fine. I understand some people would like to laugh. However, I did not know he was gonna leave. That was not, there were rumors. He might not, he may not. Some people thought he might leave because something could happen. Based on last year's situation, whatever. But there was no clear, for me, there was no clear answer that he was going to leave. I did not know. I did not know if he was going to leave, if he was going to leave, when he was going to leave. I had no idea. And simply, like a lot of those changes, as Jim pointed out, a lot of those changes were the changes that not only Jim or me proposed, there was a lot of changes that Sarah proposed, and there was a lot of push from Chris Hargraves himself to make changes to their governing docs, to our elections code, to our constitution, and so forth, because he saw that there were a lot of problems. And Sarah made a lot of changes, and we proposed changes. So this was the result. This was the conversation that we were having, and it was something. It was the push from the Dean of Students Office as well, that they saw there were problems in our governing docs. Regarding what you quoted, Jasmine, and from the minutes. So that was what I thought was going on. I thought that we had discussed all the changes in our governing docs committee, and that these changes, the changes that were in our governing docs, were indeed the ones we had agreed upon. Now, Sarah told me that the only changes that were going to be made is basically putting stuff from the Constitution into the bylaws. That's what she told me. And if you want to say I'm lying, you can talk to Chris Hargraves. He was there as well. And I pushed him later and I said, this is what we agreed upon, and yet I see changes in my own position. I later discovered changes in the treasurer's position. There were changes that were not discussed. And again, as I said, if you want to see if I'm lying, go and talk to Chris Hargraves. He was there at those meetings. And so that I made that statement at that meeting based on the understanding of what Sarah had said is what indeed she had told us, which was taking the stuff from the Constitution, putting it with bylaws. That was not what happened. If you look at their governing docs, there were numerous changes that were made, and this is what we later discussed with Chris and later discussed with Jim. And we saw those changes. We said, okay, then this wasn't discussed. We need to discuss this more. Wasn't discussed in detail. We need to discuss it more. Those changes were not. I think in some ways maybe it wasn't Sarah. Maybe Sarah didn't notice that she had made those. I don't know how. Maybe she didn't notice. Maybe because the changes were not in red ink. People voted on them. Some of them were not even discussed at the meeting. When I put the notes down, they weren't even some things that we had discussed. Maybe Sarah forgot about that we needed to discuss them. I do not know. However, the facts are what they are. Regarding the screenshot, also, that was not a point. I mean, we can't just decide to follow the Constitution or the screenshot. I mean, if they oppose each other, and it was clear from the start that they were opposing each other. In fact, that was one of the reasons why we wanted to give people more time originally to have an additional time for people to vote, because there were discrepancies, and those were not the only discrepancies. And we can't be choosing now, because we see those discrepancies. We can't be choosing what we're going to follow now at this point. It means that there are discrepancies, things are not clear, and we need to clarify. And again, it's not that we are bound. It's nothing to do with anyone's personalities or what's going to happen. I'm going to answer your question, though I don't think it's something it's authorized. I don't have anyone planned who's going to run for the election. I am doing this not because I want to get someone in this position or I want to be in this position. I'm not going to run for president. I'm not doing this in order to get someone I know there, or for me to get some. I'm doing this simply for the fact that I believe that there must be some fair election process, and if last time we didn't have a fair election process due to the discrepancies, I'm not saying it's someone's fault. If we didn't do it last time, at least do it this time. And I believe, people have a right for election. And as I said, everyone has an equal chance of winning. It's not like Jude is going to be prohibited from running, or it's not like he's going to have a fewer chance of running. If you won last time, if people voted for you, then why don't you believe that you will win this time?
I don't
Why
know.
is it not possible? It's possible. Everything is possible.
Yeah, so, okay, thanks. We'll go to Marquez and then Megan. Thanks.
Yeah, so just trying to jot down some things as all of you are doing what it is that we're doing. So I feel that the line of succession that we have within the e-board is set up so that if somebody from the top level is going to leave, then the next person after that is going to take that position. If they don't want it, then it'll go to the next person. If nobody wants it, then I believe that there is an election to go on for that presidency. Am I correct or no?
Yeah.
Okay, moving on from that, if there is a particular change that we are wanting to propose and we are feeling completely adamant that those changes need to be made, not only of the presidency, but bylaws or any other discrepancies that may or may not have happened, then those individuals need to constantly, not just at one time, but constantly need to do the work in order to make sure that A, those things get on the agenda so that we can have a constant conversation on what it's the particular things that are needed so that we can make those changes that need to happen. Because right now there's a lot of hearsay, this person said this person said that, there's no evidence backing up, a lot of people are not doing the work that they need in order to support any of the claims that they're making. Once that those pieces of evidence are being made to the whole group in a timely manner before the meeting, not right before the meeting, then we can have an informed discussion on how we can go about that. Moving on to some other things that I have written down. Need to get the work done with amendments. Bring to the EB, talk about the election. Sorry, I'm just going through my whole list. I believe that there are right ways to go about these accusations. I personally do not believe that they need to be brought up in the EB meeting, especially the GC meetings, because as I've mentioned before, the morale of not only the EB but our general counsel is completely low. And I can only smile for so long, and I try to smile, but I am starting to become that person that I absolutely don't like being because of all of the bickering and the things that is not about what our goals and what our work is trying to accomplish. We're just going about things because of our personal feelings and what have you. A lot of that can get done on our own time with the individuals that you have an issue with before the meeting. All of that needs to stay out of all these meetings before we come in. And that is going to be upon us to make sure that we do that within our own EB meeting so that the general counsel can be able to follow along with that. And we can have meetings where people are not going to be completely stressed or shaking or completely nervous or are not going to show up to the GC meetings because they don't want to have our executive board, which we are supposed to be the leaders of that GC, constantly bickering because it's going down to everybody else and nobody, well, other than the work that Jasmine has been doing, nobody's going to want to run for GPSC. Moving on to some other things. I talked about evidence of changes. As I said before, if there's things that we all really want to have happen, then we have to constantly put in the work to make those things happen and not at just that one time. If it's something that we're really passionate about, which I know that all of us are completely passionate people, we need to keep pushing forward towards those things. If it doesn't happen, we need to figure out why that didn't happen and figure out if there is another route, another way that we can get about to accomplishing the goals that we want in a fair way and in a way that is still going about the bylaws and what we have in place currently. If we want to have those things changed, then as before, continue to do the work, put it on the agenda, have evidence with you, supporting details so that we can get all those things said and done in the correct way. And other than that we can just continue to do that and leave all the bickering out of the way, then these meetings can actually get done with everything that we have on the list rather than only going through the first half and barely accomplishing anything.
Okay, so thanks, Marquez. Megan.
Jude, I'm not sure that you're, not sure we're gonna get anywhere here.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm saying.
and yeah, so I'm going to suggest that we move along, because I don't see this, there
I
being
was
an
actually
agreement.
gonna say that I think
Yeah.
Zach, Jim, and Maria are set on the decision to continue this discussion, which is fine.
You
And I don't think there's any need for us
reading my
to
mind? I mean,
continue the back and forth discussion, because we're gonna come to the next GC meeting, and you're gonna bring it up again. And like Michael said, you're gonna just continue to dampen the morale of GC members who want to come to meetings and have meaningful conversations and not arguments like this. But
okay, so
I haven't been able to
Jared
speak
and
yet.
Zach.
And basically, we should definitely put this to bed, but I want to speak in support as not being part of the EB, just being here to represent my actual constituency. I think, like Zach said earlier, that sometimes we get involved with the people who we are and not the people we represent. And I really want to say that what Marquez really resonated with me, because I've had multiple people come to me after the meetings and be like, what is going on? Because 90% of what's said in the meetings is through EB members. And I tried to say this, but I don't think I was very clear in the last GC meeting. But there's a lot of things that spill over into the GC meeting that really needs to get handled one-on-one, like adults, or needs to get hashed out in this room in this EB meeting. And not carried over and not passive aggressively or whatever, like in the GC, because like GC, we always run out of time. Daniel does an amazing job somehow of like herding us cats, and we still don't get enough time to debate like the important things, because petty little grievances or EB business or private business spills out into GC, and that just kills morale, kills productivity, and kills our mission. And I just really want to say that I liked what you said.
So something, point of information, so everyone knows so you can put all the rumors to rest. April 6th, I found out I won. April 7th, I had my dissertation defense. April 8th, I got an email from a vice president saying, are you interested in this position? Sure, I'm interested. June 26th, I signed my contract with a person. July 15th, I began. Since July 15th, I have served. GPSC, haven't been paid since then. Those are the dates. So, people have speculated about things in the past. It's not that important, but those 3 days in a row were interesting days. And that's how things transpired for me. When I was elected, I didn't have a job, didn't have any prospects. Things happened. We can move on to the next item on the agenda.
Actually, I'd like to say one more thing about this. Specifically that Jude and I have signed contracts. You cannot change our contracts mid-contract. And so it really is a waste of everyone's time to insist on trying to change things right now, because that would be a fundamental change of Jude's responsibilities. And that's simply not something we're allowed to do in any way.
I wanted to comment on that. I mean,
Maria, since Jasmine, Maria, then Jude, and then we'll go to
I don't have
Jesse.
to comment anymore. Just want to move on.
Okay.
I just.
Go ahead, Maria.
Okay, I mean, I understand that the issue I have is, I honestly don't understand why I don't want to make it personal, but why are we discussing changing my position if other changes aren't possible? Why is my position changeable and others aren't? Why can my position be changed without my consent, as what happened last year in terms of detailed minutes or not detailed minutes? And I was told you can't write detailed minutes. And I was told you have to write detailed minutes. And I'm told that you can't write detailed minutes. Why is my position getting changed back and forth? There's constant discussions without any amendments proposed. And when there's an actual amendment, and then suddenly there's a contract problem. I don't understand. I just don't.
Thank you, Maria. Okay, next item on the agenda is Jesse Baxter, Director of Legislative Affairs.
Howdy.
Hi, team. This is my second meeting. I joined you guys for the general council meeting last week, and it was an interesting introduction to this group. Now I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jesse Baxter, and I am a student in the master's program for Water, Society, and Policy. I have my undergraduate degrees from the University of Missouri in political science and English, and I've worked in politics for way too long. Last 12 years probably I've also done social service work, and I'm also the grant writer at Emerge Center Against Domestic Abuse. So I just started my program. I found out about this opportunity. I was excited to join up. been very busy doing some things at work, about $4 million worth of federal grants. So now that that is behind me, I am hoping that I can become a more active part of this group and the work that you do, and some of the things that were mentioned earlier about the goals. I think that's where I can hopefully play a role to help move all those things that are ultimately important to everybody in this room and everybody that you all represent. So I've met with Zach, I've met with Jude, I've met with a number of elected officials and different community partners that I know from previous lives working in politics, and just trying to get feedback on what they know about you, what they think about your issues. It's my opinion, independent of theirs, but also it's been reflected back from many people that you are an exceptionally difficult group to advocate for. And then that has been interesting to then come and see this behavior and think, what would they say if they saw this? They are already willing to take you to task on every issue. And then to see this, I think they would say, oh, these aren't the future leaders. These aren't leaders at all. So I have some concerns about what I see there in regard to how it intersects with the work that I do. However, I am committed to advocating for graduate students, graduate and professional students. And I think there are a number of good things that I can do in my role, and I hope that there's a lot of support. I think that there has been many things mentioned where people do want to get involved. So I have submitted a written report, but I don't know that I need to necessarily go through it with this group. But I'll be here, and I'm a resource, and I'm happy to get involved with things like the campus pantry work. Full disclosure, I was the public policy strategist at the community food bank for a number of years. So I think there are ways I can plug into a lot of different things, and I'm happy to do so.
Oh, cool. Any questions? Did you have something, Dan?
I think I'm still chair of the legislative affairs committee that we have, our internal committee, so I would like to schedule a meeting with you sometime next week or so, just to chat and see what's going on.
Awesome.
Cool. Anything else for Justin?
You didn't vote report?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
I'll share it then. I'll share it. Cool. So then we have roundtable.
Can I say
Go
one
ahead,
thing
yes.
really quick, since we skipped over the leading students? Just so everybody knows, we did hire an admin. I'm not sure if it's public information yet, but we did hire somebody. So they will be starting probably not, she needed 3 weeks to leave her position. So hopefully by, I think like the second week of October, or first week of October, we should have somebody in there. So FYI.
Oh, do you happen to know how our budget changes? Do we wind up not paying anyone for that period, or does it basically not change, something else fills the gap?
I don't have an answer for you, but we can find out. So what position, I'm sorry? Was
The
it?
admin assistant position, Alexia's position.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she's an hourly person, so it's not like it's not salaried or anything.
Oh.
It can't be like prorated. Yeah.
Okay,
So she'll just be paid for the hours she works.
okay.
Cool. Thank you for that. So next thing we have roundtable, personal stuff. I'll start. I rode my bike this weekend. Very excited. I saw the outdoors, and I sweated a lot. It was fun. I also went to a really cool party on Friday, the LGBTQ event. I saw Jared and Daniel there. It was cool to see both of them because, believe it or not, outside of this room, we all get along pretty well. Daniel's really fun. So is Jared. He's got a cool person to hang out with. So it's a really fun event. So that's some of my personal stuff. Jim, got any more bunnies or what's the cats? Or
No, it's kittens.
kittens.
No,
Sorry.
We haven't had any kittens yet, but after Bob Weedall,
Pregnant.
these are feral cats, and so no one knows quite when they're pregnant. You have to sort of guess. No one's had kittens yet. But, one butterscotch colored cat is getting really, really big, and I'm expecting more. And she's starting to do I got her I actually went to the dollar store and got some cheap little pillows. I made her a little nest kind of thing for her babies, and she completely ignored it, and just found some old newspapers, and that's where she's hanging out. And doesn't care about this great little thing.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Anything else, Jim?
No, it's just I'll send out kid pictures.
Okay, cool.
And I'm serious about people, help me adopt these kids out. There'll be, 18 or so, something 15, 20 probably.
Cool. Marquez.
I am headed to GCU this weekend to with another graduate, Shelley Hawkins, and we are giving information to other potential college dance students about the U of A. Other community colleges in Phoenix will be there, so we're presenting at a table to give information about that, doing a few movement workshops, and so that's going to be this weekend. And then I am a co-host for the Jazz Showcase that's happening next weekend. It's our 25th anniversary. We are expecting between 800 to 1,000 dance participants, and we'll have full invitational and full shows, which I should have brought the flyers, but we do have public flyers and shows happening next week, and I can post that. It's a fun photo, you'll laugh at it, but it's a great show. I'm dancing in it, and that's it. Fun jazz times.
Cool. Thank you.
Did we want to talk about college of medicine and law? Was that on the agenda?
It was on the agenda. Sorry, I skipped it. Do we want to go back to it?
Discuss that in the agenda?
I've kind of already laid it out for y'all. Did anyone have any questions for me about that event?
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Was that in your list of huge things you wrote down?
Was this running? Just the general info, like time, place. Like, is there a specific amount that you guys are looking?
Yeah, so it's the general time and place. So it's at Hermanos, which is on 4th Avenue, right next to the Shanty. Hermanos on 4th. I don't know the exact number address, but it's there. It's at 8:30 on Friday. And yeah, exactly.
8:40?
8:30 on Friday, the 23rd. And we're asking for 500.
So, do you guys think you can do funds out of social and marketing to help do that? Do you think you can cover that? Or
I believe so.
when you talk about other options?
I think I don't marketing maybe to spend it not so much.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have we have a GPSC banner still in the office somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm. It's in there.
So I'll swing by on Friday and pick it up, and we can hang it up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright, so Kevin kind of like, since Kevin's no longer in charge of those things, joint whatever sponsorships kind of fell into my lap. And so I'd like to maybe bid what we can cover if you guys can't make the full $500. But what that would mean would be having to go to the joint council afterwards. So
you guys
I don't know
front.
how I feel about that necessarily.
So you guys front the money, but then
Or
if they
like,
can't,
'cause
then
we could fake it a little by using ED money that is our like.
so you're saying we could pull out these pools now, no problem, but you want to pull out the third pool that we have to vote on the
Yeah, well, they're in
GC.
charge of those two budgets, and if that doesn't meet $500, I don't want you guys to be like in a lurch. So what is your plan if we can't get to $500? Do you have one?
No. But this sounds like they'll be able to figure it out between the two of them, and I can interface with them offline, and we can figure it out.
Okay, so if these two are going to take care of it, I don't think there's anything else to discuss.
Nope, that's it. Thanks, guys.
What about your personal stuff?
Anyway, I got a hot date with a pharmacy student this week. It's gonna be great. He's gonna take me on a Pokemon tour of the university.
So glad somebody else has Pokemon other than me. I'm so happy.
That's what's happening.
Does he have drugs?
He does. He's a pharmacy student.
Cool. Dude?
Sounds like it's gonna be a lot of
Yes.
fun. I don't know if there's anything exciting to talk about now. Just had kind of a busy life in the last couple of weeks, doing 2 responsibilities and my academics and everything. So my life has been pretty busy. I don't think I have any fun things to say.
Cool. Jackson?
I'm late for another meeting, so I'd like this to be done as soon as possible. That's all I've got.
Okay, we're good.
Just usual life. Struggling not to get depressed. I think I already said that.
Okay.
And not to get too drunk at the meantime while I'm there.
Jared? Jared, do you have anything you want to share?
Oh, well, thank you. Honor to the round table. No, I'm just grinding, third year med student, finishing up peds. Block now is what I'm in, and I'd start trauma surgery in a week, and that'll be a lot of fun. So 32-hour shifts. So you may not see my beautiful shining face as much, and if you see my face at all, I'll probably be gray and saggy and bloodshot eyes. But
When
yeah.
does it start?
A week from Friday. So we have an intercession week where we do classroom stuff, but then
So what does that imply? Like you have to be there more
Oh yeah.
than
Are you
usual?
doing cadavers or like human beings?
no, like the knife and gun club, like
Okay.
literally in the ER on the trauma surgery ward, and they wheel them in and we pump them up full of fluids and try to stop the leaks.
Okay.
It's trauma as well as I can explain it. But yeah.
You don't want me to keep this in the
You don't have
minutes.
to, yeah.
I was wondering.
So that's okay.
Write this all down!
Claudia, anything you want to share? Megan?
I went on a 40-mile bike ride this weekend, and it was the longest one I went on ever. Totally thought about you.
Where'd you go?
Where'd you go? Yeah.
Past Picacho Peak to like the end of the.
Oh, nice.
You know what I'm talking about?
Excellent.
I thought I died.
My house.
Alex was about to have to carry me back. So.
Do you have anything?
No, I've shared.
Okay. Cool. All right. Meeting adjourned at 8:12. See ya.